I see what you're saying, but I just want to know what is it that you really need. So what you saying is that you got diarrhea and you done set up on your dead ass and you done shit on yourself and you need me to help. Wait a minute, hold up. You want me to come over there and wipe your ass? You just need me to wipe your ass. Bitch, are you crazy? Get the fuck off my phone. You tuned in to the new channel, The Iceman Unchained. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Iceman, the people's champ. Still riding with you. Still hating police. Still trying to get you together. Still trying to get me together. Maybe together we can get together. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for following me over to the new channel. We're still rocking with the Iceman Show channel and the Mad Voodoo Man channel, but those channels are going to be used for a different purpose. We're gonna repurpose those two channels. The Iceman Unchained channel. This channel is going to be the channel we're going to rock with going forward. There's a lot of things that I got on my plate right now, where I'm just trying to reformulate and reconfigure the show to suit you, the listener. This is your show, not my show. And the thing about it is, it started becoming there's some issues outside the show that manifested themselves to the point where I had to take care of, especially my health. Those of you know that those of you been riding with me for the past 6 years, you know that I'm a disabled vet, so I got some medical issues that were left unattended, and I had to get on top of that to get myself back where I needed to be. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to shut down the subscription service of the show, and I wanted to do something different, which is just have you guys donate minimum $15 a week. But I need you to email me and send me a title to a video or lecture you want me to do. So if you donate to, and you can go to AskTheIceman.com and hit the donate button, and basically what's going to happen is when you get ready to do your 2017 taxes, you can show your tax person. Or if you do your own taxes, you can keep that. You can keep all those receipts of the donations that you make, and then you can have that for your records in case you need to show the IRS that you have all these tax deductions. So that's what you need to do. Or if you lose them, just email me at the Iceman Unchained at gmail.com or the Iceman Show at yahoo.com, and I will type up a formal letter on my company letterhead if you need that at the end of the year to show how much you've donated to the Iceman Show. And basically what the money is going to be used for is to buy equipment to upgrade the show, because I need to upgrade my equipment, and I also need to start hiring co-hosts to co-host the show with me. I reached out to a guy in Houston to help me co-host the show and to interview him. I want to interview him for my book, and this guy ain't even, bothered to get back with me, and I'm a little irritated that I haven't even heard back from him. I sent him a message on Facebook, and this guy's usually pretty responsive. But I see he's on Facebook every time I'm on there, so I'm kind of like, well, what's up with this guy? So hopefully he'll get back with me, and we'll get some things popping. But that's the new format of the show. Also, I'm going to post a PayPal link where you can donate, and then a certain amount, and then if you donate that certain amount, you'll get a T-shirt from my nonprofit, and then you can all you got to do is put the size in there, or you could I'll probably just have you just send me the information. I'll just have you do the donation, and then but it has to be a certain amount, and what'll be included will be the T-shirt for my nonprofit, and that'll also, you can print that out, and that will be a tax deduction for 2017 taxes, or when you do your 2017 when you do your 2016 taxes. Okay, so if you got any questions with that, get at me via email at the Iceman Unchained, Iceman Unchained @gmail.com, and then also at my usual The Iceman Show @yahoo.com email. So either one of those two emails, or you can hit me at the asktheiceman.com @gmail.com email. Also, the Iceman is on Instagram, so you can get at me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, because I'm going to start back traveling. I'm going out west to promote the book. I'm going to the black bookstores where I got to start turning up the heat and doing some more advertising. So I'm hitting the road, man. I got to get out here and promote the book. So that's what I'm getting into now. And then when I get back, I'm gonna start hitting the state of Texas, and then I'm just gonna work my way out back east, and then up north, and then back to the Midwest, and then back up to but this time I'm going to the Northwest. So I got a lot of promoting I got to do of the book. Tell a friend, loved one, a coworker about The Game of Life, according to the Iceman Volume 1. Tell them they can go to Amazon.com and get the ebook format or the Kindle format, or if they want the paper book format, they can send me. Here's what I'm gonna start doing, and hopefully I can get it done tonight. I'm gonna have everybody buy the paperback version from me, because I was just checking on Amazon through my member dashboard. And there's a thing in there where I can order the books and get a cheaper rate, and then that way, and then I can sign it and then send it to you, and your the shipping, and what I'll do is I'll have the PayPal link on the page, and you should be able to put your mileage wherever you're at in the world on the PayPal link, and then it'll say how much the domestic or international postage will be, and I will use that postage to send the autographed copy of my book, The Game of Life, according to the Iceman Volume 1. I will send it to whatever address you tell me to send it to. Okay? And it will be sent guaranteed. So there won't, if something happens and the postman decides he's gonna lift my book, then there's gonna be some shit. Okay? So we're gonna make sure we get it to you. Whatever you pay for, we will make sure you get. I've got some of my younger family members helping me do some stuff, and I'm paying them. And we're also I'm also we're redoing some things with my nonprofit. We are doing a food bank. We're also we raised $3,500 for coats for during the winter time for homeless folks as well as low income children. And I want to thank all the players, my man HP and a few other cats. I love I believe, shoot, man, what's the name of this cat? Shoot, man, I forgot his name. My man Jason out of Westchester County, New York. My man in New Jersey. Want to thank him for donating, and a couple other cats. I don't have your names right in front of me, but appreciate the donations over the past 6, 7, 8 months. So I appreciate that from you guys. I don't mean disrespect. My thank you goes out to everybody that donated. But I would like to set up a thing where we can get monthly donations going for directly for the nonprofit. And I got a reintegration and integration program with military people as well as guys coming out of jail and prison. So we got a program where we're not just going to be like the Urban League and teach them little bullshit skills like how to do data entry on a computer. What we teach them is how to if some of these brothers can't read. So we got retired teachers coming over to help these brothers and sisters, get their reading skills up and get their math skills up. And that's the first stuff we need to do. And then we're trying to reprogram them of getting out of that criminal mindset that has been put into their minds by the white supremacist racists of this country and of the white supremacist racists that miseducated and misinformed these brothers and sisters. So that's what we're working on with the nonprofit, and we're getting it together, man. I'm trying to get my health back together. We moved the corporate office down here to San Antonio. Oh God, I keep fucking up, man. San Antonio. We moved the corporate office down here, and we made the office smaller up there in Minnesota, but we're getting a bigger office down here. So this is veteran and military friendly, and since a lot of what I'm doing is with the military and veterans, this is just the best place for us. So getting a lot of love since I moved back down here full time, and it's really popping off. I'm just trying to deal with these po ass dickwads that are around here that don't want to see a brother plant his flag out here, but that I could give a fuck about what they think. Iceman gonna make it do what it do, baby. You know how we do, player. You tune in to the Iceman Unchained. What we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen, is getting stuck in a rut, getting shitted on by just life in general and bad luck, getting shitted on by friends and family, significant others, divorce, relationship breakups. And how do you bounce back from these kinds of life experiences? What's unique to us as black people is that when we have a hiccup in life, when we have a situation happen to us in life, a small thing can turn into a traumatic situation. And because of the fact that a lot of times we black folk, we don't always stick together and help each other out in times of need without, shitting on, verbally abusing the person that is in dire straits, or just helping that person because they need help, not because, they want a hookup, a year from now, 3 years from now. It could be difficult reaching out to others to get help. And I, for one, understand that. But the one thing that I want to convey to you is this, is that when we black folk get in a jam, the margin for error out here in the United Snakes of America is, we don't have that many we don't get that many bites at the apple like a lot of other people do in America, or how white people do in regards to white privilege. We don't get that many bites at the apple. And so the margin for error of making life mistakes, which we all are going to make at one time or the other, we don't always come back from that as we should, or those who have the benefit of white privilege in this country, and due to white supremacy and racism and those institutions thereof, we don't always have that. We don't have a mechanism in place, an institution in place that's there to help us when we fall off, and still be able to have some level of dignity. Unlike what happens when we go to get welfare and EBT cards and all that kind of stuff, you have to leave or Section 8 or anything else, any other handouts, we have to check our dignity at the door. We have to check our self-respect at the door. And a lot of us don't want to do that. So sometimes we reach out to family and so-called friends, and a lot of times, especially with the fact that, black people redirect their financial resources to, other areas of their lives that are not necessarily important, that we don't always have the money or the financial resources to help those in need. So the question that I pose to you tonight is, what do you do when you get stuck in a rut? You have a criminal record. What do you do if you got mouths to feed and you can't find a job because you have a criminal record, or whatever life circumstances that you happen to find yourself in? What do you do? How do you work your way out of that hole? Well, we're going to talk about some of those things tonight. I have had my own set of experiences where my life was swirling. My life swirled out of control. And even though I thought, and I was stupid enough to believe that because I had gone to graduate school and all of this, that I was shielded from circumstances financially traumatic circumstances that happen in a person's life, especially living as a black person in America. I was stupid enough to believe that I was immune to that kind of stuff. And I found out the extremely hard way that I was not immune to dire life circumstances. And so at several points in my adult life, I found my life swirling out of control. And I remember the first time I got arrested. And let's just say I was driving a vehicle that I was kind of sort of authorized to drive, but there were some other circumstances that surrounded the actual permission that I had to drive this vehicle. And so everything was copacetic for in another couple of days that I had the car. And I remember I just moved into this house I was renting. And I just needed a couple of things from the store. Not a whole lot of stuff. I just needed a couple of things. And so it was probably 38, 39 degrees outside. And I said, okay. So I did what ghetto niggas do. And I went through some sweatpants on and some house shoes. Yes, the Iceman wore house shoes outside the house. And I decided to sneak off to the store to get a couple of things. And something told me that I should have stayed at home. But I wouldn't listen, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and make that move anyway. And so I take my dumb ass down the street. I go to the store because the store wasn't that far away. It was only like maybe a half a mile away. And I went to the store, but instead of going back, I think because there was a one-way street, I had to go back the long way around back to the house. And something told me, you know, you're going to get stopped by the popo. And I'm driving, and I'm getting ready to put my left signal on to turn up in the driveway, and this fucking cop is behind me with his lights going. And I saw him, I kind of saw him out of my peripheral vision, but I just kept driving. And finally the guy got on the loudspeaker and said, pull over or pull in the driveway. And I just pulled it. I was like, I live here. Let me pull in the driveway. So they like, you know, get out of the car, get on the ground. And, you know, that pissed me off because I ain't been laying on the ground, you know, face down on no fucking ground since before I went to the military. So, you know, they handcuffed me. You know, I couldn't get my stuff out of the car. And so, you know, they started asking me all kind of questions. And they finally, you know, put me in the back of the car. And they didn't grab my keys. So the keys stayed. I said, man, y'all got to get my keys out of the car. It's you know, well, you can go get them when you get out of jail or whatever. And so I was like, fuck, man, I'm about to go, you know, and you know, I'm about to go to jail. So I'm looking at the laptop in the police cruiser, and they had all my information. They had everything. It was just a matter of them catching me on the street. If I'd have just left that car in the driveway and chilled, it would have been all to the good. At least another day anyway. Okay? And so I'm thinking, damn, they about to take me to the county jail. I'm about to get a felony put on my ass. And for some reason, they didn't take me to jail. They took me to the police station. And so they took me over there to the police station. They towed the car. You know, the tow truck was already there, putting the car on the back. And so they took me to this little small police station. You gotta understand, this is in a little ass town. This is a long time ago. Trust me when I tell you. And they take me there. You know, first of all, you know, the only thing I had on me was my wallet. That's the only thing I had on me. And so I didn't have my keys. And then they left. You know, I had a couple CDs in the car. I didn't let me get those. So I'm sitting in the police. So they put me in a holding tank. And those of you who have ever been locked up at a police station, the holding tank is a small temporary cell that they put you in until they figure out what they're going to do with your ass. So they had me sitting in there, and this cell couldn't have been no more than about 3 by 3. And then the concrete was just hard as fuck. I mean, man, I couldn't even sit down in there. It was so fucking hard. Boy, they make sure your ass is uncomfortable. Then it was cold as fuck in there. They ain't give me no blanket, nothing. So I'm sitting in there, and I'm just getting more and more impatient. And they left me in there for about an hour and a half. And finally, they came and got me out of there and took me in there to to sit down with this detective. And so I sat down, and it was funny. We was probably about the same age. He was probably a little younger than me. And so I'm sitting there, and he was kind of like he went through the formalities, and he went through his checklist. Where you from? And then he said, look, you've been charged with grand theft auto, you know, and you know, this last hour or so, I found out, what the suspicious circumstances as to why you're holding this car and why this car is in your possession. Okay, and it was a used car. It was a new car, and I'm not gonna get into how I played a part in this, but anyway, I was the one that got. And so anyway, so he and I was talking, and he was just like, man, he was like, dude, with your education background, how did you get mixed up in this dumb shit? And I was just like, kind of looking at him like, I said, dude, I'm having some issues right now, going through some things right now. And, I explained to him I was a combat vet and all that kind of stuff. And he actually was a pretty nice guy. He actually didn't stump on me too hard. He was actually kind of comical. And he was just sitting there laughing, and he wasn't laughing at me, but he was laughing at the circumstance. He said, man, you far too smart to be getting yourself caught up in this kind of shit. And he was just like, he said, man, with after he said, he said to a certain degree, I was for sure I was going to go ahead and file this case with the district attorney. He said, but after sitting here talking to you seem like a really nice guy. You got a job. There's no reason to put you into that cycle. And he said, look, I'm just going to release you and let you go home. Now, at first I was thinking, damn, I'm here in fucking house shoes. Can a nigga get a courtesy ride to the crib? But then I was thinking, I really don't want to be in a police car again. So where this police station was probably, I would say, a good mile, a little over a mile away from my house. And because it was cold outside, it wasn't ice cold, but it was cold. In fact, that I just had a sweatshirt on. That walk home was a long and cold one. And then on top of that, it had snowed, and the snow had melted, so my feet got wet. So I'm walking with house shoes trying to get home, and then I get home and I realize I don't have my keys. And so, I had my cell phone on me, so I called I finally got in touch with the tow people, because the police station was like, we ain't got nothing to do with it now. The tow yard's got it. I called the tow yard, and they had multiple locations, and because they had just got towed there, the lady didn't know which one it got towed to. She said, we ain't gonna know that till tomorrow afternoon. And I was just like, I gotta get my house right the fuck now. And so, I said, fuck it. I just called my landlord, and because he worked second shift, I mean, he was like a high up manager at this window company in another little adjacent town that was about 15-20 miles away. I just didn't want to bother him. He was like, yeah, I'll come. He said, I'll come out he said, I'll leave work and come there and unlock the front door. But he said after that, he said, do you have a spare? Did you make a spare? I said, yeah, I do have a spare, but it's in my bedroom. And I didn't leave any windows open to crawl through or anything like that, because I lived there alone. So, and this was a little older house, so, it wasn't like some of these, usually older houses, sometimes you can, jerry rig some shit and get in there, but I just didn't do that because I didn't expect to be climbing through no goddamn windows. So he was like, he came and unlocked it. He was real cool about it, and then he bounced. And, I was just like sitting there in my living room thinking, damn, my shit is fucked up right now. So I just said, fuck it. I went and took a bath and went to sleep and got up and went to work the next day because I think that day I was off. The reason why I was at home bullshitting around. But anyway, I was just sitting there like, how can my life, it seems like my life is starting to swirl out of control. And I could just feel it getting out of control, but it's kind of like it was like I was just, it's like I couldn't do anything about it. And I just allowed it to continue to swirl out of control. And so fast forward another, I say about a year, and I'm hanging out with the wrong people, the wrong females, and I got pussy on the brain. That's pretty much all I was doing back then was going to work and then fucking with bitches. So I had a gang of hoes back then, and I got myself in a situation again, and I'm sitting there. But before I go into that, let me just talk about something that happened right before that. I was no. I was so I was fucking around with some folks, and I got mixed up into some criminal shit, and and so instead of them arresting me, what they ended up doing was they sent out a notice to appear notice for me to go to district court to answer for this to this charge. And I didn't know anything about it. And what they ended up doing was they sent it to an old address. Now I had left town to go and hang out and do some stuff, and I was thinking about moving, but I didn't make anything permanent. And so I had already left that place where I was staying at. And so I got in contact with, some of my niggas back in that city and state, and they informed me that a notice to appear in court had come, and that 2 or 3 weeks before that, and that the cops that came over there, the county sheriff that came over there to arrest me. And I was just like, what are you talking about? The sheriff came over there to arrest me. It was like, yeah, they got all these police cars over here, and they came over here asking for you. And we told them that you don't live here no more. And so, and this is not the same residence as that other place I was living. And so, anyway, so I'm like, damn. So they was like, what you gonna do? I said, well, just tell them you don't know where I am. And what I did is, I had all my stuff with me anyway, because I had already quit that job. And so I just went and got me a job and just started living in that new city and state. I'm running away from my criminal past. So I'm down there chilling, working, meeting new bitches. And, I was talking to my kids, and I said, hey, I'm gonna move closer to be with y'all. So about another 3 months went by, and I moved from that city and state and moved closer to my kids, going out west. And little did I know that, my criminal past would follow me as long as people got computers and the internet. My criminal past would follow me everywhere I went until I faced the music. So anyway, I go to this new city and state, and I get a job, and I got a decent paying job, but it was a seasonal job, and so I needed to get other jobs. So I went and got a job at a fast food place, which was demeaning enough. Working with all these fucking wetbacks, and then working with ignorant ass fucking uh Nazi ass fucking uh dog shit fucking white supremacists. But anyway, I'm working around these people, and I go to apply. I was applying for jobs like right and left, so I didn't let no grass grow under my feet. So I was making it do what it do, and so I was applying for a bunch of gigs, and I finally got a call from this computer company. They're a pretty big company. I'm not gonna say which one it is, but they're not as big as Microsoft or IBM or somebody like that, but they're pretty big. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. But anyway, they had their corporate office right there. And so I ended up getting an interview with this young white dude, and I ended up getting the job. He called me well, actually, he didn't call me. The human resources person called me. And they was like, yeah, you want the job? I was like, yeah, I want the job. They said, well, we still have to do a background check on you. I said, well, how come you didn't just do a background check on me before you offered me the job? And they was like, well, that's how they do it here. I know it sounds kind of backwards. But anyway, the person was like, well, I need you to come in. This was like a Thursday or Friday. So I had to come in that Monday or Tuesday, the next week. So I was all happy over the weekend, told this little Mexican chick that I was dating about, the job and what it was going to be and all of that. And so uh, I ended up having a really good weekend. And then I go in there, and when I'm going, the person that called me that Thursday or Friday, they seemed like they were halfway decent person. When I met this person, it was some younger white chick. And I noticed as soon as I walked in there, she got an attitude. Okay. And, she did her best to be real slick and not to show her disdain for black folks. But, I could smell the racism on this bitch. But anyway, she was just like, well, this is what we're going to do. I got to go through this form and ask you these questions. And do you have a criminal background? Have you ever been arrested? And I was just like, she said, do you have any convictions? And I said, not that I know of. And she said, have you been arrested? And I lied and said no. She said, do you have any felonies? And she was like, I was like, no. And so she said, well, here's what's going to happen. If you don't disclose what you have or whatever, or what you have in your background, it could be cause to have the job offer rescinded. And I said, yeah, okay, I understand. And, cocky as I was like, oh, they ain't gonna find out, whatever. But, little did I know, like I said, as long as companies have computers and access to the internet, they can find whatever they want to find. And so they didn't know what state I had just come from. I didn't list that state where I had all these criminal charges pending. I didn't put down that, I moved from there and I got all this stuff going on. I didn't do that because I was trying to forget about my past. I was trying to move on. And so I noticed I didn't hear from her because she said, well, I'll give you a call in a couple of days. Well, about 4 days went by. I hadn't heard anything. And so I called the guy that hired me. I called the number trying to get in contact with the guy that hired me. And he didn't answer. It was just a random number. So it was like, well, you need to call Human Resources. So I called Human Resources and asked for that chick that had that had did my paperwork, my background paperwork, and she was like, I left a message and I didn't hear from her till later on that afternoon. That was in the morning. And so she called me later on that afternoon, was in a really good mood and hi and all of this. And she said, yeah, okay. She said, okay. I went ahead and did everything. And what I noticed is she was in a very cheerful mood, which was a total departure from the kind of uh, personality and character that she had when I saw her a week and a half before that. And I thought that was weird. And so she was talking and she's like, yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Iceman, we're going to have to rescind the job offer. And I said, why is that? She said, well, you weren't totally honest when we did your initial background interview. And there's a few things that popped up when I did a background check on you. First of all, you have several counts of you have an arrest for grand theft auto, a felony. You have several felony counts with 3 counts of felony stuff, and you have a federal warrant for your arrest. And she said at this time we can't hire you. You weren't honest with us. And she was like, do you have any questions? And I was like, no, I'm good. Obviously I'm feeling like shit and feeling real fucked up. And she was like, well, if you don't have any questions, have a nice day. And she was just really cheerful, and I could hear it in her voice. And she was like, yeah, I got a chance to take that job from that nigger. I could tell that it was just in her voice. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to go back to doing the Iceman. And so probably another week went by, and I went to my other 2 jobs, and then I actually even got a 3rd job, but I just couldn't get that many hours at this fast food place. And so then I was struggling, man, because I wasn't, I needed a lot more money to live in this city. And so I met this brother. I was talking to his brother one time. He was like, man, go apply for a security job. And he said, yeah, they pay such and such an hour. You're ex-military. So I went over there and applied, and they were, real gung-ho about hiring me. They was like, well, you need to fill out this it must have been a customary thing with these companies in that state, because it seemed like everybody had this pre-background check interview shit. And so instead of sitting there with you, you had to fill it out yourself. And so obviously they asked the same questions. Have you ever been arrested? Do you have any warrants for your arrest? And obviously with all that, I said no. And with that job, the same thing. The guy called me 2 days later. He said, Mr. Iceman, we can't go further in the hiring process because, you got a grand theft auto felony arrest. And I said, well, I didn't get charged with anything. They said, well, it's still on your record, though, as an arrest. And I was like, fuck. Then he said, you got several federal warrants for your arrest, and he said, I highly suggest that you clear this up. And, just when I thought I couldn't feel any worse or feel any lower about myself. And so my main job, my seasonal job, was over about 3 months after that. So obviously now, even before that, I started looking for jobs, and I applied for other jobs and got interviews that really didn't go anywhere. And obviously I'm trying to, spend time with my kids because they lived a few 100 miles away. And so I had to have money to go see them. And so I was starting to really get worried. And so what ended up happening was that because I couldn't find a job, what I decided to do was go ahead and move to that city and state where my kids were living. And so I finally moved there, but I didn't have a place. So I slept in my van until, and I finally found a job at this little company, because they didn't do a background check. They didn't do a background check worth of shit. And this job paid a little bit of money, but again, I'm living in a major city, and the rent is higher and all that other shit, and lifestyle's higher. So I'm sitting there, just really, worried, even though I got this gig. And probably about 2 months into that, everything was going okay. I was starting to stack a little money, and but I still was kind of fucking off because I had just met this little young chick, and me and her were partying whenever I wasn't at work, and she didn't have to go to work. So we were doing a lot of partying. And back then I still drank and still smoked a lot of weed. And so we ended up, so I remember one night I went somewhere where I probably shouldn't have went, or should I say I shouldn't have brought my wallet, because I had all of my driver's licenses in there. And back then, if you remember, if you go back, a few decades, you could have a driver's license in multiple states. And so I didn't think anything of it. This was over a decade ago. And I didn't think anything of it. And so I go on about my business. And I go over to this place. And like a dumbass, I didn't put my wallet in my back in my pocket. I just walked out of there. And when I remembered that I left my wallet in there, I went back over there. Obviously, somebody took my wallet. And I didn't have that much money in there. And so I had all my driver's licenses in there, man. And so now I ain't have no driver's license. I didn't give a fuck about the money. I could get the money. And so some asshole took my wallet. And obviously the next day at work, I got on the horn and started calling banks and all these other people and letting them know that, hey, some assholes got my wallet. So I went and started calling all the states, and I had like 4 different driver's licenses. So I called all these different states trying to, get a temporary driver's license, get them to send me a driver's license. And with every last state, they were like, let me check this, Mr. Iceman. And so they would get back on the phone and be like, well, Mr. Iceman, we can't send you a new driver's license because you have multiple tickets and warrants that you have to get squared away. And so this one particular city and one particular state, I had one ticket that was only about $130, or actually it was only $85, and then it ballooned into a $600 ticket, fine, warrant charge. The warrant charge alone was like $160. So that ticket was like $600 and something. And then another ticket in another state was, I probably, all total, including the state that I had all the criminal stuff pending, I probably had about $3,000 or $4,000 in tickets and fines. And they were like, until you pay this off, we ain't got nothing to talk about. You got to pay these tickets and these fees off, and because some of those tickets were 3 and 4 years old. And I was just like, being the nigga that I was at the time, I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to keep doing what I do. And so, I ended up having some difficulties again, because you have to understand something. Not only was I having these criminal problems going on, I also had some cognitive situations going on where I just was making horrible decisions. Okay? And that's why you can't look at people and say, well, such and such ought to know better. Why is he or she making poor decisions? It's not that simple. I thought it was that simple. It's not that simple. So anyway, I go. Oh, I got laid off of that job, that decent job that I had, and so I didn't have any choice. So I called back to that seasonal job that I had, and I called my old boss, and he said, "Yeah, if you can get here, you can start, tomorrow." Or it wasn't the next day; it was the day after that. You can start on Friday. I said, "Yeah, I'll be there." This is like Wednesday, so I drove 7 hours to get there. And I get there, obviously I didn't have a place to stay, so I had to sleep in my van again. And you have to understand, I had everything I owned in that van, in that old ass van. Okay, it was one of those huge goddamn old 1980s vans. So I had everything I owned packed in that damn thing. And so I get there, and so I had enough room in the back seat where I had made a little makeshift bed. Had a pillow and cushion to sleep on, and I had a sheet over it, and then I had a blanket. So I was able to start work. But you got to understand something. All I had, one state was willing to send me a 30-day paper temporary driver's license. Now, what the lady told me, she said if I was willing to come back there and fly back there those 2,000 miles, they would give me my driver's license right there on the spot. But I said, nah, I didn't want to take off work and fly back there. That's what I should have did. That way I would have had my driver's license. At least one state, I would have had one state's driver's license. But like being a nigga, I decided not to do that. And that bit me on the ass, as you will see later on in this story. So anyway, I'm out, and I had a routine. I knew where all the cops were. I could go to work, and then after I got off work, I'd go to the gym, work out, take a shower, and then I'd figure out where I was going to park for the night. And there was a couple hotels that I used to park in their parking lots because nobody messed with me over there, and there wasn't a whole lot of cops driving around there. So I parked, and I used to go to this Dollar Theater just to get my mind off my situation being fucked up. And so I used to go to this Dollar Theater, and I would go see movies just to keep, just to pass the time on my days off, and then, after work sometimes just to chill out. And so one night I go see this movie, had a good time, got something to eat. This was probably about 8:30. And for some dumbass fucking stupid ass reason, I decide that I want to get a hat. I don't know what I was thinking. And I see the Target over there, and I pull over in the Target. I go in there, didn't even find what I was looking for. 10 minutes later, I'm walking out. And I'm getting in my van, and I'm going down the street. Something told me that I was going to get fucked with that night. And I'm going down the street. Next thing you know, I'm seeing police lights behind me. So I pull over, make in the left-hand turn lane, and I turn and pull down this street, this street nobody was on. And so, 2 cop cars behind me, and I guess they're training this rookie. And anyway, immediately the game of cops and niggas ensued. And so it was like, well, you got your driver's license and your registration, your insurance. And so, I started fast talking, like ghetto niggas do. And I was trying to bullshit my way out. And it's like, well, okay, so you have your insurance, where's your driver's license? I said, well, technically, I don't have a driver's license. It was like, they started asking me what happened with that, and I told them I lost my wallet and all of that and all that stuff. And I was telling them about the tickets and all that shit. And I also told them, hey, I'm a disabled vet, I'm this, and this, or whatever. And they was just like, they ain't give a fuck. And it was just like, and for some dumbass reason, one of the guys asked me for my social security number so he could look up, because he was like, well, do you know your driver's license number? I said, I don't remember my driver's license number. He said, well, if you give me your social security number, I can look it up. And whenever you get stopped by the cops, don't ever give them your social security number, because that's basically, they can get all kind of information on you. And so this asshole comes back and he says, well, you got a bunch of felony warrants out for your arrest in other states. You got a lot of tickets in all these other states, you can't be driving around here with no driver's license. I said, look, man, maybe I could work something out in the morning if y'all just let me go. And so one of the cops, this young guy, he was just a complete asshole. And he was just like, no, we're going to have to take your van. And I said, dude, I just told you I'm living out of my van. And he said, I don't give a shit. That's your problem. And so it was like, so he called a tow truck, and that motherfucker was there in 5 minutes. Now think about it. When you call AAA or you call your roadside assistance, some motherfuckers tell you, oh, it'll be an hour and a half. That motherfucker was there in less than 5 to 10 minutes. And I said, man, so where am I supposed to go? They said, that ain't our fucking problem. And so I ended up that night, I was upset than a motherfucker, man. I was ready. I was hysterical. I said, man, I can't believe y'all gonna do me like this, man. It was like, fuck you. And so they just left me out there, man. And luckily across the street there was a Motel 6. So I was able to give me a clean room and stay overnight. But I was so hysterical I could barely sleep. I called my dad and he's like, oh, well, if you can't work it out, just give me a call back. In other words, I don't really want to be bothered with it. So I was like, whatever, fuck it. So I get up the next day and I call the police department, and they were just like, well, you need to come down here and, we'll talk about what's going on with your van. And so we'll tell you where your van is. So I go down, I catch the bus down there to this really big, it wasn't the main police station, but it was a really big south side of town station. So I get over there, and I go over there, and this Mexican chick that was a cop, she was like, okay, let me explain the situation to you. She said, we have a new law that if you don't have a driver's license, or you don't have insurance, or you don't have any of that, we tow your vehicle. And she said, if you don't get that stuff before 30 days is up, we keep your vehicle, and the impound lot sells it. So I was like, oh, they just fucking with people. I said, oh, see, you have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that these types of laws are put on the books to fuck with poor people. Okay? They're on the books to fuck with poor people. Because you have to understand something. What good does this law do? It's not about the public safety. See, you got to understand about these white supremacist, racist motherfuckers. This is why you have to be politically connected. Because you got to understand something. Rich, white supremacist, racist motherfuckers don't push to have laws put on the books that are going to take money out their pockets or cramp their lifestyles. No. What they do is they put laws on the books to fuck with poor people and people of color, mainly black people. And the only people you saw down there in that, because that particular little part of this police station wasn't nothing but people who had gotten their cars towed. And it wasn't nothing but black and brown and poor whites in there. Okay? And then I even saw a guy that ended up down there that I worked with at that seasonal job. And so the season was that second season was rounding up that week. Matter of fact, I only had a couple of days left to finish out, that particular that work season, and I didn't even get a chance to go to work because I was fucking around with that shit. And so she said, and I told her the situation, and she was just shaking her head. She said normally, if she said it had been me, I'd have let you go. I'd have just gave you a ticket. I would have had to give you something. But she said I wouldn't have took your vehicle and you being homeless and all that. And she was like, you ain't got no place to stay? I said no. And just when you thought shit wasn't gonna get any worse, it got worse than that. It got worse than that, believe it or not. And so I said, well, where's the lot at? She said, okay, you got 27 days to show up back here with a driver's license. So man, I was wrecking my brain trying to figure out, how I was gonna get a driver's license. And so the only state that I could go and get a driver's license for was the state where I had all them felony warrants. Can you believe that shit? So obviously at first I was like, oh, this ain't gonna fucking work. I can't do this. But it was my only shot. And see, back then I was still doing that online dating shit. So, luckily I had met this little skeezer fucking tramp that had a little money, didn't have no kids. And she was like, well, when you get back here, I'll take care of everything once you get back here. You just need to get back here. So luckily I had just gotten paid, so I had enough money to get a bus ticket, a round trip bus ticket. And so one of my player partners that worked with me, this one dude used to be a dope boy. He was like, man, when you get back, I got a place for you to stay. And because before that, I had to sleep on a bus bench, man. I had to sleep on a bus bench, y'all. You talking about falling off and just being at the lowest point in life. Man, I had to shed some tears that night because I said, God damn it, I got to sleep on a bus bench. It was, and then, I had all these crackheads around, all these fucking Indian dudes trying to sell dope and all these old crazy looking crackhead brothers walking around. I mean, man, I couldn't get any sleep. So I had to deal with a couple of days of that shit. And so I finally was able to get out of there. And I got back, had one of my homeboys take me to DMV, and I took the written test because I didn't need a driving test. And so they gave me a temporary driver's license. So I hopped on the next thing smoking and got back out there. And I got out there and my homeboy let me stay with him. Luckily, he let me stay on his couch, man. He was dealing a little crack and a little weed out the house because I was like, nigga, how you got this nice ass crib? And so, I went ahead and, me and him smoked a little doo-doo and, kind of got my head right. And I said, hey, man, I got to go down there in the morning and get my van. So I got down there and I paid and see, before I get into that, the first couple of days, because I had to wait about a week before I could get out of there, get that bus ticket to get out of there, because I had a little money on me, but we only got paid every 2 weeks. So I had to wait another week to get paid from those 2 weeks that I had worked previously. So I didn't have any money. So, luckily the people at the tow lot, because this is way out there on the north side of town in the desert. So, the interstate, one of the interstate highways was near there. And so there was the only thing out there was tow yards and hotels, brand new hotels, because there wasn't much out there. And so I took like 2 or 3 buses out there, man. And I walk over there and I kept my laptop computer with me, but my other computer I had to leave it in my van. And so for 2 days or 3 days it might have been, I had to, keep going over there getting access to my van because every day I would go get a change of clothes. And so I keep a gym bag with me because I needed to wash up and I kept I had this little Centrum vitamin thing that I used to put Tide washing liquid in. And so that's how I would wash my clothes every day. And I'd go back to the van and hang them up in there. And then, by the time, time for closing, the lot would close, my clothes would be dry. So, and so I didn't have no money for food. And so so there was two hotels. There was a, Courtyard by Marriott that was right like 2 blocks away from the tow yard, and then there was a Holiday Inn Suites, I believe it was. It was either a Holiday Inn Suites or a Fairfield Inn. I think it was a Holiday Inn Suites. And so these hotels are brand new. And so what I would do to blend in, because I had my gym bag, I would act like I was staying at the hotel. I would pick up used room keys, and I just walk through there like I belong. And I would use their computers so I could, keep looking for jobs and, keep in contact with people. And so one thing I thought was odd at this, because I've never seen this before ever since at a hotel. I'm sitting there and I go in this Courtyard by Marriott, and they had, they left sodas out and all kinds of chips and stuff out for free for the guests. But they also had next to the sodas, they had beer. So they had light beer, 2 or 3 other kinds of beer out there that you can just grab. So obviously, I said, well, shit, man, I'm gonna grab me a couple of beers every day. And so what I would do is I would take a towel or a piece of a newspaper, and I, put it in the door so I can keep coming and going throughout the day until I figure out where I'm going to sleep. And so, I was drinking these beers, and that didn't make me feel any better, obviously. And they serve little snacks in the breakfast area of the hotel at night. So I was able to eat, what could be construed as dinner. And so but I couldn't sleep there because the way the hotel was set up, there wasn't anywhere I could try to, catch a couple of Z's. So I would have to walk 3 blocks down the street, which was a little hike. And these are long ass blocks. So I would walk down the street to get to the Holiday Inn Suites. And that's where I would sleep for those 3 nights. And if you're talking about, being at my lowest point, I'm sitting there, and luckily these stairwells had carpet on the stairs. So it was, it wasn't too hot, and it wasn't too cool in there. And so what I would do is I would go in there for the night, and I drink them beers, and then I go to sleep. But I could only sleep 2 or 3 hours because anything and everything woke my ass up. When you're sleeping out in the elements, it's totally different than sleeping in a house. You're exposed to the elements, and all of your senses are on steroids, because when you're homeless, you're thinking like an animal. Okay, you're thinking about surviving. So I was dizzy all the time because I wasn't getting no sleep. And I was one of the roughest 3 days of my life, man. But it wasn't the roughest. But it was pretty bad. And so I did that for 3 days until I was able to leave, or take that bus back, get my license, get back. And then, after that, I started feeling a little bit better because I was able to, watch some football. And then also, smoke a little weed every day. And my boy, he was still in the game. And, he wanted me to, ride dirty. I was just like, no, man, I gotta go down here in the morning and get my van. So I went down there and I left my stuff at the house and I came back. I was like, I showed them my the temporary driver's license. They was like, yeah, no problem. And they gave me the release. And so I had to take the bus all the way out there to get my van. Luckily, these people were decent and they didn't, maybe because my van was so raggedy and old, they didn't bother it. But, I know they saw all my stuff stuffed in there. So I went and got my van. I was happy as hell. And I went back to my homeboy's house and stayed the night because I wasn't going to just drive out that night because I was too tired. And so I got a good night's sleep, smoked a little weed, and got up the next day and, he gave me some blunts for the road. And so I'm going back and I finally figured, he said, well, what you going to do? I said, man, I got to face these cases, man. I got to get these cases taken care of. And so I went back and all the way driving back, I was just, he was like, I said, man, I can't roll dirty, man. I gotta keep it, I gotta keep it clean. So, we dapped and I hollered at him and got on about my business. So anyway, I got back up there and I'm probably about 200 miles away from my destination. And I said, you know what, lad, let me just roll down this window, smoke me one of these hella blunts. Let me smoke me some of this chronic. Man, I got high as a motherfucker. All the way up there, I was thinking, damn, I gotta fix my fucking life, man. And so I went up there and me and that broad I was fucking with, we started having some shit because I was living with her. Man, you know what I found out back then? When I was the dustiest, I had the most women then. I had so many women offering to fuck me, let me stay with them. I would live with one chick, move out of her house, move into another bitch's house. I mean, it was that easy. Like, I really do seriously believe that American women love dusty niggas. Because I was at my dusty, but me and this bitch started getting into it because she wanted to know my every fucking move. And I was just like, she was like, well, where are you going? She didn't like my homies calling. She didn't like my cousins calling. So I was just like, fuck you, bitch. So I just moved the fuck up out of there. And so, I ended up turning myself in and got some of the cases dropped, did my time in jail, got out. Everything wasn't copacetic, but things were looking up because at least I took care of all them warrants and shit. The judge was real cool. He let me I did my time on one of the cases, and after that, he was like, "Man, you could just go home." When I saw him the next time, so I'm in county jail, man. I'm in lockup with these idiots, with these dumbass niggas, man. I was just like, man, I slept on my back the whole fucking time. Okay, them niggas didn't fuck with me though. They was like, "Oh, gee, you got some big ass arms." I said, "Yeah, nigga. Don't let me have to whoop your ass." But I mean, the deputies would walk through there during the night, so it wasn't nobody raping nobody, none of that kind of shit. At least not my pod. Because I was in there with probably about 30 people. And they had all these undocumented immigrants in there in their little corner. There's probably about 10 of them. I was like, "What y'all in here for?" They said, "Drunk driving." I said, "So why you about, I said, "Well, what's going to happen?" They said, "Oh, they taking us to INS lockup." I was like, "For drunk driving?" It was like, "No, man, because we undocumented." I said, "Oh, man, y'all some stupid motherfuckers." I said, "Hey, man, I got to be telling people, man, Obama been getting rid of them motherfuckers, boy. Bush and Obama, them motherfuckers, boy, they was getting rid of them motherfuckers back then." Okay? Anyway, they started looking up for me, man, and but I still had shit popping up with them cases, man. And I had to hire attorneys to clean that shit up. And that's why I be telling people, some of these guys that got criminal records be getting mad talking about Ice Man, you squeaky clean and you must think you better than us because you don't have a criminal record. I just haven't gotten deep into it, but I have a criminal record. But I was able to maneuver around it, and because I didn't continue to keep getting in trouble, they, because I didn't keep getting in trouble, they cut me some slack. But what I'm trying to get at, people, is this: if I can make it, you can make it. If you got a felony, you got a felony. I have multiple felonies and misdemeanor warrants out for my arrest and charges, dude. Okay? Because in between that time, when I first got back, and a little while after I went to jail and cleared up some of them cases, I'm sitting over there smoking weed, even though I was told, not to, I couldn't smoke no weed, but I was smoking weed anyway. And so I'm hanging out with some homies. One of my homies, a girl, was with him, and we was over this dude house, man. We smoking weed, and we end up. Next thing you know, I look out the window. It's a bunch of SWAT team motherfuckers around the fucking house, and I'm like, what the fuck? And next thing you know, these two female detectives was beating on the door, and they was like, open the door. We got a warrant. If y'all don't open the door, we gonna knock the door down. I said, oh shit. And so this guy was renting a room at this house. And so, we all buzzed out. And so the girl goes and answers the door, all scared and shit. And she was like, where's so-and-so at? And dude ran upstairs and hid. And we was like, what the fuck is going on here? And so, man, these two detectives, they was talking big shit. And they was like, where's such and such at? We have a warrant for his arrest. Where is he? I know he's in this house. We've been watching this. We've had a car out there for the last week. So we know he's home. Where is he? And this other dude that was puffing with us, he was like, man, he upstairs. So they went upstairs and got his ass. And then they started asking us a bunch of questions. And obviously, they ran everybody's background and shit, found out I had just got out of jail and shit. And so they was like, oh, you look like you've been busy with the court system. And I was just like, oh, here we go with the bullshit. And so come to find out, man, this dude had did something with some chick. They wouldn't tell us exactly what it was. I didn't find out exactly what happened until about a week later when I went into the court computer system and ran his name and found out what he had actually did. And I was just like, this dude was a dirtbag. I didn't know him that well. I didn't know that wasn't my partner. That was my homeboy. Actually, that he was only really my homeboy's weed connect. That's really all he was. That's the only thing my boy was using him for. He's like, man, I just get weed from that nigga. I don't really fuck with him since we, last few years. I just puff with him every now and then. But anyway, it was free weed. But man, I was thinking, I said, man, I gotta clean my life up, man. I gotta fucking clean my life up. And so if you look, man, you have to have a strategy. What helped me get out of that free fall was having a strategy, people. You have to have a strategy. Yeah, you got felonies on your record. Yeah, you got a jail and arrest record. How do you work around that? Well, if the job thing ain't working out and you're tired of working low wage jobs, the only thing that you're going to be able to do is start your own business. So you work your job. You say, okay, I hate these fucking jobs, but I'm going to work here long enough to stack some chips. And so my money may not be right, but at least I got some money saved up. Because it's a whole lot more you can do with $2,000 or $3,000 saved up than you can with nothing. So that's why I tell guys to, hey, get a handle on your finances and start stacking your chips, and just put a strategy together. I'm not going to allow myself to be fucked up. I'm gonna get my ass out of this situation, and because I got tired of going to jail, I got tired of getting arrested, I got tired of going to jail. Okay, I got tired of it. And when you get good and tired of something, that's when you usually say, fuck it, I'm going to do something about it. And that was my breaking point. Sleeping on that bus bench, sleeping in them hallways, or sleeping in them staircases at them hotels. That I got sick of that shit. Because it was going to continue to happen until I faced the music. Until I faced the music and got my shit together. And that's why I say, if the Iceman can make it, you can make it too. You can't give up, people. You can't give up, man. I am living proof that as long as you keep your head in the game and you put together a strategy and you stick to that and stick to your strategic plan, you can work your way out of anything. Whether it's back child support, fines, and if you get these tickets, man, just pay them. Because sitting there saying, fuck them white folks, I ain't gonna pay these tickets, you just asking for trouble, dog. You asking for trouble. And what's gonna end up happening is they're gonna catch you out there slipping. You might even have some liquor on your breath, and you might have even been puffing on something. And now you got a DUI or DWI, whatever they call it in your state, and under the influence. Now you got even more problems, plus you're getting your car towed and you're going to jail. No questions asked. Now not only do you have to deal with them fines from them tickets, you're going to have to deal with paying $7,000, $8,000 in fines and restitution for a DWI or DUI or driving under the influence. Man, brothers and sisters, we don't need these problems, because I'm telling you right now, once you start swirling around that toilet in that whirlpool of life circumstances, you're going to continue to keep going down, 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 and you're going to keep drowning until you're totally submerged and you're totally helpless. I'm telling you right now, had I not stopped that free fall, I would be sitting in prison right now, because I'm telling you right now, I would have made a decision to do some fucked up shit, and I would have ended up in prison. I'm telling you, I promise you, I would be coming out of prison, or I would have been in prison. I'm telling you, because I was getting desperate. I was starting back stealing shit from businesses. I was, stealing shit. I've been homeless before. That wasn't the first time I was homeless. I've had to steal computers and sell them. I've broke into shit places and stole shit out of there. The statute of limitations is over, so I can talk about this shit now. But I used to be dog. When niggas talking about a street nigga, I'm a street nigga. Okay, just don't let them college degrees fool you. When you're desperate, college degrees don't mean shit. Let me tell you something. My college degrees are useless. My college degrees are useless. Okay, the only good thing my college degrees are good for is wiping my ass. They're not even worth the degrees are not worth the paper they're printed on. And the reason why college degrees aren't worth anything in the United States anymore is because we have so many fucking for-profit and non-profit schools out here offering paper degrees. And because we have a flooding of the market with a bunch of fucking colleges and universities out here, that drives down the value of the college degree. Whereas 30 years ago, a college degree meant something. Today, it means nothing unless you learn certain skills. That's why I tell guys all the time, go find a junior college, go find a community college, take accounting, take some accounting classes, or take the classes you need where you can start learning how to run a business. Take accounting, take intro to business. Those basic classes will get you going to start a business. Marketing, market research was a good class. I mean, although that's only taught on the graduate level, but it's not taught at a junior college. But that's the one class that taught me how to do marketing research. So, ladies and gentlemen, if the Iceman can pull his ass up and get his life together and not be homeless anymore and not feel bad about himself, I feel really bad about myself. I was really close to just saying, "Fuck it, I don't want to live no more," because I got tired of being out in the elements, getting rained on and peed on, and what felt like getting shitted on by, living out, sleeping in playgrounds, sleeping in parks, sleeping on bus benches, sleeping in vans, sleeping in cars. This video would be 3 hours long if I told you all the shit I've been through. But I'm trying to explain to you, ladies and gentlemen, that you don't have to be stuck in your current life circumstances. You can work around that felony. There's a lot of brothers and sisters out here with felonies on their records or other criminal stuff on their records, and they're doing just fine. But I'm telling you right now, if you think you can, the job route just might not be the way to go. I'm just saying. You tuned in to the Iceman Show. This is the Iceman Unchained. It's your boy, the Iceman, the People's Champ. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't got my book, The Game of Life According to the Iceman, go get my book. Okay, go get my book. I'm working on volume 2 right now. I'm working my ass off trying to get that done. So right now I've just got a lot of stuff going on, and trying to run these businesses, trying to make sure my employees are taken care of, trying to make sure my clients are taken care of, because I do what I do for a living because I care. I'm not a selfish person. I believe in serving the public. I believe in serving black men and black women and black children first. I believe in serving military and veterans because I'm a veteran. I'm ex-military. I believe in helping and serving those who can't serve themselves right now. Okay? I believe in serving my people, and you are my people. And again, go by AskTheIceman.com and donate today. And when you hit the donate button, make sure that you email me and tell me what topic that you want me to cover, or if you want me to read your email over the air. If you want to send me an email on some situations that you're dealing with, submit a donation, and I will go ahead and read your email over the air if you want me to. Or if you want to just give me a topic to cover that you think would benefit you, then definitely do that. Because let's work together so that we can pick each other up by our bootstraps. I can't do this alone, and I know you can't do this alone. But if we work together, we can get ourselves together. You tune into the Iceman Unchained. Holla at your boy.